don't usually ask them a question.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Corso, why don't you tell us, when I spoke to you on the phone about you winning this achievement award, you were very excited about coming to Birmingham. Just give us a few of your thoughts.
Well, I was very excited to come to Birmingham. First, let me, I have to say something. Maybe you don't know it, but a couple of years ago I suffered a stroke. And I've had a lot of therapy, and it's helped me. But at times, I struggle. And I promise you, I haven't been drinking. But at times I slur my words and I have a tough time. But the stroke has affected my brain, and it's gone down to my mouth, and I can't get words out. So I hope you'll bear with me on that, okay? But I was happy to get this award, especially because of the name after Bobby Bowden. He's been a friend of mine for 52 years, and we went back. We first competed against each other when he was the head coach at South Georgia Junior College, and I was young, 22-year-old head coach at Florida State freshman. Yeah. And we had an epic battle. I think we beat him by a touchdown. But I meant when having Nick here, he's turned out to be one of the greatest coaches in the history of college football already. We have one of the greatest coaches in the history, and Bobby, and now Nick. There's some, boy, you can't win a national championship and win 2 out of 3. He's richly congratulations. And one thing I said about it, before the season, before the game against LSU, I was comparing the defense from Alabama with the 1986 Oklahoma defense, which was considered by many as the best defense in college football. But after that game, after Nick's great performance and the Tye's great performance, they went down last year as the greatest defense in the history of college football. And I want to congratulate you.
Coach, the 2 games you saw LSU and Alabama play, how do they compare to some of the better games you've seen?
Well, for hitting, it was nothing. There's nothing, I hate to say this, but there's nothing compared to the SEC. When the SEC is playing against each other, that's the best football. It's the best football. I've been fortunate now for 25 years being television, and that's the best football you'll see. It's the SEC football, no question about it. And it was great defensive strategy, and hey, one of the best ball games that we ever seen a man or a coach play, a coach having a big game like Nick. In fact, it was the best game I've ever seen defensively in a big game.
So you had no problems with the replay?
Pardon?
The rematch, you had no problems with the rematch?
Rematch, no. I kept saying, Ali, Fraser, the 2 best heavyweights. They were the 2 best football teams in the nation, by far the 2 best teams. Why not play them? And I'd like to see the 3rd one, if we could. But not, maybe could say that once.
Coach Saban, is it easier to be competitive and good in a difficult league like the SEC is year after year? It may sound like an odd question, because you got to keep up with the Joneses, or they're keeping up with you and everything.
Well, I think that the good competition actually makes you better. I think the challenge of good competition makes everyone better. I think it's easier to create a standard for the players, the goals that they set for themselves, the hard work that they do, the standard of excellence. The bar always gets raised. And I think our players understand and respect the quality of competition in our league, and I think they work harder to get better themselves because of those challenges. So I actually think it helps. I've always thought playing against good competition is always healthy for all the competitors, and certainly I think that's been something that's helped us in terms of raising the bar for our players in terms of what they need to do to be successful.
What does it mean to have your name on this trophy not once but twice now?
Well, I think that for me, this is a special award because of this guy right here. Coach Bowden, to me, not only represents someone who was an extremely successful coach, probably as successful as any coach that ever coached college football. But it's not just the success that he had, it's the way that he did it. There was never any negative recruiting. We recruited against each other, and he never said a bad word about the other guy. He always had a good program, did a good job for his players, prided himself in caring about the players that he had personally, academically, and athletically in terms of their development. And it's someone that I always tried to sort of emulate in terms of the kind of program that we had and the kind of class that he had to have in the programs that we have. So probably as much as anybody in the country, that means something special to me. And I'll say this in my speech tonight, but I'll say it here. When I was a graduate assistant at Kent State, Bobby was the head coach at West Virginia. And my father passed away suddenly. And, you know, Coach Bowden was the coach at West Virginia. I didn't know him that much. He probably saw me play when I was in high school. They didn't really recruit me to come to West Virginia. I wasn't good enough to play at West Virginia. And he called and said, your mother's here, 25 miles away. I know your father passed away. If you want to come back and be a graduate assistant here so you can be closer to your mother, I'll always have a job for you. So he didn't need to do that, but always serving other people, always serving other people. And I think that we need more people like Bobby Bowden in college football. So for me to get an award that has his name on it probably means as much as any award I could ever get.
Coach Bowden, do you see, all coaches share similar attributes. Do you see some of yourself in Coach Saban?
Well, I'd like to. He was a heck of a much better organizer than I was. I was a little bit more freedom, you know, and but I just don't think there's a better football coach in the country. But I saw that I was at the first LSU Alabama game. As soon as that game was over, I said they're gonna play again. But there wasn't no doubt in my mind. That's the two best football teams in the country, you know. And I'm proud. I'm very proud to have someone like him to win this darn thing. I think next year me and him just meet here. We won't invite y'all.
Have you ever seen a defense like he had this year?
Besides your sons and you being in the profession, do you have a heart for coaches? You know, you have a special place for doing things like Coach Saban was talking about there, helping guys out when necessarily you didn't have to.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. When I was coaching at West